Hey everybody, welcome to the 5 Yard Pass. Sudi and Sham here. Preview for the last game of the season, United versus Leicester. All the prizes to be played for today. Big game coming up. So before we get into that, we just want to chat a little bit about the West Ham game. Bit of a disappointing result, but not too surprising, Sudi.
I think there's a few criticisms to be made in performances, but if you take into account fatigue, I think there's not much you can say. You know, this stage of the season, the way the season's panned out with the break and all that, I'm not too critical. I think Greenwood had a great goal as well. I'm not too critical about Pogba and Rashford and Williams. Like you'd say, they would be the worst performing players, especially with Pogba's handball. But I think that handball, it was so reactionary. It showed how tired that Pogba is for playing the amount of games he's played. That's kind of a very instinctive, non-professional footballer reaction to make, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. You move your body if you're a bit more in sync with your body, but when things start moving out and you're fatigued, it's just
absolutely.
What's the minimum thing I can do to get my hands in the way?
Yeah,
but it is another example of just another individual error by a United player that's cost points.
Yeah,
and you can see a few of the goals we've conceded, particularly since the break.
Yeah,
guy A makes a mistake, guy B, guy C, goal. And it's a little frustrating.
And it's,
Getting
I guess it's easy.
moving up 2 spots on the ladder is not the worst result, but it
I
does
know,
show
man,
how tenuous the position we're in.
I have no idea. I mean, there's obviously 2 factors that's made United in third. If you told me we'd be third in January, I'd be shocked. But I mean, Leicester bottling everything since January, and United just having a good run of form. But I'm still kind of blinking my eyes and just like, are we third? Are we actually third? It's weird that we're third.
Third, does it? No.
Yeah, and it doesn't. And we'll talk about it in a second, I guess. But I just don't feel right going to the game. But hold on. When was it 5 days rest? 4 days rest?
It'll be a Wednesday game to Sunday, so 4 days.
Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of round off the West Ham game, it's just one of those things. You're just pulling yourself over the line, and I'm not going to like sit here and criticize players who are just absolutely exhausted. But I will say this though: it's obvious that Luke Shaw has become such an important player for the team. The win rate under him is about 79%. Without him, is at, I think it's in the 40s, 49 or 48%, something like that. So I think it's good that even when you lose, you take what you can out of the game. And Williams is 18; he'll get his time. In 4 or 5 years' time, he will become. I have no doubt about it. He will be the choice left back. He'll probably go on loan somewhere. But yeah, Luke Shaw is important, and I hope he plays. He was seen driving into training the other day, and he hasn't driven into training for a week because of his legs. So that could be a sign.
Yeah, and I've always rated him, but people have always seemed to be quite harsh on him. I think it's because he hasn't been playing to his potential, but he's now playing at his potential or somewhere near to that. Luke Shaw's got the ability to be England's left back for the next cycle of England. That's not to be understated. Definitely an important player for United. It does show though, without you're missing one type of player or one player, that percentage going down, just that depth comes into it again. And Ollie clearly does not trust the bench.
No,
it really does.
He definitely doesn't.
This is when you play the bench, and he hasn't, so he does not trust the bench.
I mean, is it when you play the bench? Because the last 3 or 4 games, in some way, shape, or form, has been a cup final, so to speak. Do you trust the bench for a cup final? If United had done the business against Southampton, then he would have played the bench, and losing would have felt shit. But I think it would have been a different story. But what I'm just a bit confused about is before the break, we had Fred, McTominay, and Bruno doing really well. And I'm just wondering why he doesn't trust that combination to take the pressure off Pogba and Matic.
They've only played that Norwich game. They didn't do it particularly well, but it's one game. You'd think they played well in a block, and a lot of that 19-game unbeaten run was built on that Fred McTominay axis. And the only thing I would say is that it did inhibit the ability of Fernandes to get into the final third. Fernandes was coming deep a lot to get the ball and then moving up when it moved up. Now he can sort of play as a bit more of an orthodox number 10. Maybe Ollie likes that, but that's like maybe he's trying to say Fernandez's legs a bit. I don't know, but you're right. I am genuinely surprised it's not being used more often than it has been since the break.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough game, man. Like I think we'll get straight into it with the Leicester game. I think I typically pull in all the facts and the stats and all the points and whatnot that Leicester and United have done, but I think none of it matters, man. I think there's so much. Number one, there's so much pride at stake. Leicester want to establish themselves as a top 6, top 7 team. I mean, no, that's bullshit. They want to establish themselves as a top 4 team. I can tell you, man, Leicester genuinely think they can go win the league again in the next 10 years. And I think they can. I think they have that sort of structure in place.
Mm-hmm.
So much to play for. It's the money involved. With the money comes the transfers. It's just so much at stake and just pride. So I think you can say all you want. All he has to play his best team. So what do you think?
100%. The best 11 players played this game. This is for all the prizes are going to be handed out at the end of this game. And you're right. Leicester will feel they have a right. They won the league before us last. They got strong ownership. They have specific players in the squad they need to go and regenerate. Like I like Vardy, but he's 34, so they'll know they need to look for certain players. And as much as like they talk about the league championship and the final promotion game is the £170 million game. This is not far off that. This is not far off that at all in terms of importance. And the whole sort of Chelsea versus Wolves dynamic makes that interesting as well. The fact that Chelsea are going to be playing, because there is, I suppose, a mathematical scenario where Chelsea lose and both United and Leicester get in, but more likely Chelsea will get a result. And there's so many permutations. United take all of that out of the way by winning. If they don't win, actually, a draw's enough to get top 4, but if they want third, they have to win. Yeah,
it is. Sorry. Yeah. See, for me, Leicester, on paper, this was 10 games ago or 5 games ago. I think United would smash it. Just on paper, they don't have Chilwell, Maddison, and a few others. Their centre back, their Turkish centre back. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I know who you're talking about. CEK.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to pronounce his name, but they definitely depleted, man. And Rodgers seems kind of a bit out of ideas. They look dire against Spurs as well.
Yeah.
I like I said, man, I don't think any of that matters. I think it's genuinely United have the better team, have the better position, but are just tired and just need to, figure it out. 1-0, 2-1, 7-6. I don't care.
There's been too many goals. Southampton conceded a goal late. Chelsea conceded a goal late first half. West Ham conceded a goal late first half. That worries me. More than anything else, that worries me. Just shows that the players are tired.
The concentration.
Yeah.
And also, if there's anyone
mentally, I'm not talking, it's more mental than physical, really.
If there's anyone who can capitalize on a mistake, it's fucking Jamie Vardy, man. Yeah. He's maybe a quicker, better version of a Michael Antonio kind of player. Just a real shithouse.
He's a poacher. One chance is all he needs.
He deals in the black magic that no one else knows how to do. You know.
He's got the pace as well. The one thing that United defense is a little suspect again is pace. He's got genuine pace. He loves running in behind. Could be a potential nightmare if United don't set out that stall properly. The guy, if it's Matic or whoever, I suspect it's Matic in front of the defense. That role becomes really important as well, just to create some security there. And how they manage the fullbacks moving up and down and providing support. That setup is quite important, because if you can nullify Vardy, it will nullify a lot of Leicester's weapons.
How do you think about, hypothetically, if this doesn't play out, let's say we lose tomorrow, Chelsea win as well, how do you think that affects the way we approach the Europa? Taking Lask out of the way. So we have beaten Lask 5-0. Even we're not going to lose. You know.
I wasn't exactly sure when the new season would start. I've heard that it's 2 weeks from the Champions League final to the new season starting, which is ridiculously short.
Well, today
United will go all out for Europa if they finish 5th. They will put everything on the line to get into the Champions League. Before
you say anything, the FA came out and said today that they're considering giving United, City, and Wolves an extra week should they make the final of either one of those. So we have 3 weeks, which is an extra week is huge. Going to the new season. 2 versus 3 makes a big difference. If you hadn't seen that, but
did you say considering or they will do it?
I mean, for them to come out and say it.
Yeah, true. If they come out and say it, it'd be surprising if they went back on it.
It's probably something they had been talking about for a while. Now, what I'm asking, I guess, is, do you think, let's say again, the worst happens and they don't make the final, they don't make the Champions League? do you think the players respond well? This group of players could respond well and go and win the Europa League. Do you think it's within their capability?
It's a massive test. It will show a resilience in the squad that they can go out and do it. The reality is they'll have 2 weeks off after this game to Lask, and probably another 2.5 weeks really to play 3 games in 7 days.
Yeah, so the 10th.
That is very
achievable is the next game
for this group of players. They've done that before, set records, you know. So, but yeah, to have such a mighty effort and fall short, I think it would unnerve a few players. It'd probably there'd be a lot of questions around people's futures and that sort of thing. It is a very important fixture in terms of that bigger picture, and in terms of Ole's legacy at United. As much as I think he's done well and I think he deserves at least the next season, there are people who don't. There are people who think now he should be out, which is stupid in my opinion, but that's what other people think. We're all entitled to our opinions. It would shorten the time available to him, even though United did not really have the right to be in the Champions League this season. The fact that we're sitting in that spot with a game left to lose it, that's not a good way to finish the season. That puts pressure on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly with a squad that's going to have to play a lot more games next season. It doesn't quite have the depth. It could send the club into quite a downward spiral. So the game is very important. Whereas a Champions League, getting even a draw would lift the club immeasurably.
The thing that worries me is when United have been asked to step up this season, they just haven't. And the 3 points in the season for me, which was Man City in the League Cup, stepping up in the second leg isn't the same as putting it away in the first leg. Not that they could have, but they just didn't turn up for the first leg.
Yeah.
And then the game against Liverpool before we started that unbeaten run, they didn't step up there. They didn't step up the next game when they should have beaten Burnley. And the next time was Chelsea last week. You could say individual errors, but it's still a team sport.
The only game they've really stood up was the City game. The 2-0.
McTominay's goal.
Yeah, McTominay's goal. And the free kick with Martial. Yeah, that one. That's really the only time they stood up. But even then, it looked a bit... When you think about the fact that McTominay scored his goal in the 6 minutes of injury time, that performance has, by nature, everyone was so elated with it because it was so out of character, in that sense.
Yeah, and the other... you could point to points in the season when things have gone well. But I just think it's not because of the lack of ability. I just think they just haven't stepped up in moments they should have stepped up. It's a huge, like last week I had my reservations and I was quite pleased with myself getting the score right, 1-1. But I guess we can talk about the lineups now in the game, but I think United have it in them. And I think I'd go for 2-1 this game for myself. I think United are going to do well. I think there's a lot of criticism that they haven't felt in the last 6 months being thrown their way. And I think players like Pogba, Fernandes, Maguire will bounce back because of that criticism and whatever else is at stake.
Yeah, I don't necessarily question the physical conditioning of the players, but mentally I think there is a level of tiredness. Maybe in their legs they'd be feeling tired, but I don't think they're going to be any more tired than Leicester, for example. And like you said, Leicester being pushed to the limit. Are we going with lineups or are we going with score predictions?
I think we both know the lineups. So, but yeah, go on. I think we're both going to say the same thing.
For me, I'm going to go 1-1. This is a switch from West Ham. I'm going to go with 1-1. I think it'll be enough, and I think it's going to be very nervy at the end, and I think they'll hang on. But I see, I don't quite see them. I see Vardy alone being worth a goal, and I'm not sure if United got what it takes to get 2. Just the evidence of the West Ham game. The only time they looked threatening was the first few minutes of the second half when they had to get that goal to get back into it. If they can bring that energy and summon something, great. And they'll get the win if they do that. I just don't quite see it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do. I said 2-0. I mean 2-1. I do agree. Vardy has a goal in him. But I think we both agree with the lineups as well. I think we're gonna see Shaw probably come back and the usual 10 of them.
It'll be that 11 that ran out. I would give serious thought to Bailly. I know I always say Bailly because I love Bailly, but just to manage Vardy's pace. Maybe something's done a bit different tactically to manage Vardy, but Bailly might be the antidote for that. To have Maguire and Lindelof against Vardy in that zone, I think there might be something done, whether it's tactically or through personnel, just to manage
Yeah.
that.
That's a good point actually. I remember Chelsea back in February. We beat them. No, sorry, it was a draw back in February when Igalo made his debut. I remember Bailly put on just an absolutely flawless performance.
That was the 2-0 game, was it?
Sorry, 2-0. Sorry, we didn't draw that game. But I remember he put on flawless performance. And he has his ability to perform well for 3 or 4 games. Yeah. Strangely, yeah, you could see him, but I mean everything else should be quite the same. But you could see Bailly, I guess. But yeah, no, nothing else should change. By the way, that interchange of play. Again, we talked about what the United goal is now, like the type of goal they score. That goal against West Ham was outstanding. The 5 or 6 passes, and then Greenwood, the way Greenwood opens up his body, knowing that someone was next to him, the way he opens up his body and then gets a snapshot into the bottom right corner. Sorry, I mean that player, man. Like we've gone on. There's no need to go on. You know, it's like today. Today I saw that Birmingham retired their number 22 jersey. Did you see that?
No.
Because Jude Bellingham, right? He's gone to Borussia Dortmund. He was meant to come to United. He's 17 years old. They retired the number 22. Man, if Greenwood leaves, you got to retire the 26 for United. He's been that good. He's been that talented. The most talented United youngster I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely. He's got he could be absolutely anything, Greenwood. But yeah, I can't believe they retired Bellingham's jersey.
Yeah, it's weird.
He played a season.
Don't know what Yeah, I guess maybe what they're thinking is if we come back to the Premier League and we somehow become Champions League contenders, we want to have him feel like he could come back. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because in this game,
and it's not done in like in NBA. You do it quite a lot, Like Kobe Bryant had 2 numbers retired for him, but it's not often. The only time I can think of it is like AC Milan did it with Baresi and Maldini, who are all-time greats. I know City did it with Marc-Vivien Foé because he passed away while playing for Cameroon, but he was a City player. But
even United's never done it.
I can think of. Yeah.
I thought they would have retired. I was thinking, they potentially would have retired at 11, a few years ago when Giggs retired. But I mean, when you sleep with your brother, sister, nothing's been retired.
I have questions over that. I was watching. I think it was I think it was the Kickoff actually, the podcast there, and they were talking about the Premier League Hall of Fame, and the way they talked about Giggs, I actually thought at the beginning that sounds quite harsh, but I don't disagree with it. Like his longevity's been incredible, and he's had moments of brilliance. But would you put him in the pantheon of Ronaldo or Keane or Rio or Terry? Probably not. No. But an unbelievable player. To have that career is magnificent. But when you're talking about Hall of Fame and really separating yourself from the pack, he's a bit more Gary Neville than a Ronaldo,
That's actually something we should. Maybe we should talk about the next video. Who we think should be the first manager, first player, because I have some thoughts as well. So let's keep it for that video. I think next week we'll do a video on that.
I didn't want to get into that discussion, but because you brought up Giggs, I was thinking.
No, I did see that. I do have some thoughts, and I will say, for me, the player who should get in first is Igalo. But
first and second,
first and second, and manager. Anyway, all right, perfect, Sham. Should we end this off? So you're thinking 1-1, and I'm thinking
absolutely.
2-1.
We'll go 1-1, a nervy 1-1. I think it gets it gets the Champions League spot. I think it opens things up for next season. If they can get through this, you just feel that there's going to be a sense of optimism, a sense of so much potential. Big signings can come to the club. Maybe they're waiting for United to get that spot before they put pen on paper. Yeah, just really excited for the game. Can't wait for it. And guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you after Sunday's game, and hopefully be in a really good mood. Thanks everyone.